The council chamber doors sealed with a pressure lock that echoed through the crystalline halls like a death sentence. Queen Zaretha stood motionless at the head of the obsidian table, her blue-tinged skin reflecting the harsh emergency lighting that bathed the room in crimson. Around her, the High Council of Valthara shifted in their seats, their antennae twitching with barely contained panic. "Your Majesty, the Kravathi warships have breached the outer defense grid," First Counselor Thon reported, his four eyes blinking in rapid succession. "Estimated arrival at the capital in 47 minutes. Our military recommends immediate evacuation." Zaretha's triple-jointed fingers tightened around the edge of the table, the only outward sign of her fear. She had ruled Valthara for 12 cycles, survived 2 coups, and negotiated peace with 7 hostile species. But the Kravathi were different. They didn't negotiate. They consumed. Entire civilizations vanished within weeks of their arrival, their populations enslaved or converted into biological weapons. "And our defenses?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt in her chest. "Compromised. The Kravathi somehow obtained our shield frequencies. Every orbital platform went dark simultaneously. We're defenseless." Thane paused, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Your Majesty, with respect, there is no victory scenario here. We must preserve the royal line. You must evacuate." Zaretha glanced toward the chamber's entrance, where her human husband stood in the shadows. Marcus Chen, formerly ambassador from Earth, now prince consort of Valthara. He wore the ceremonial robes of his position, but his expression was unreadable, his dark eyes fixed on something beyond the room's walls. They had married 3 cycles ago, a union that shocked both their worlds. Humans were relatively new to galactic politics, their military considered modest, their technology unremarkable. Yet Marcus had never looked afraid. Not once in 3 years. 47 minutes, Zaretha repeated, turning back to the council. "What forces remain?" "The Royal Guard. 300 soldiers. They're willing to die for you, Your Majesty, but against 12 Kravathi dreadnoughts?" Tawny's voice broke. "It would be a massacre. Then we fight with what we have. Your Majesty, I will not abandon my people." Zaretha's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "If we evacuate, the Kravathi will butcher every civilian in this city. 70 million souls." "I will not leave them to that fate." Silence fell over the council. Several members lowered their heads, accepting the death sentence she'd just pronounced. Others simply stared, their expressions hollow. Marcus moved then, stepping forward from the shadows. His movement was fluid, purposeful, drawing every eye in the room. He approached Zaretha with the same quiet confidence he always carried, the same calm that had first attracted her to him during those long diplomatic negotiations. When he reached her side, he leaned close, his lips near her ear. "I need you to trust me," he whispered in her language, the syllables perfect despite the complexity. "And I need access to your planetary defense grid." Zaretha turned to face him, studying his features. His jaw was set, his eyes sharp. There was something different in his posture now, something she'd never seen before. Not fear, not resignation. Something closer to anticipation. "Marcus, do you trust me?" he asked again, his hand finding hers beneath the table. She did. Completely. It defied logic, but she trusted this human more than anyone in the galaxy. She nodded. Marcus turned to address the council, his voice carrying an authority that hadn't been there before. "First Counselor, I need full administrative access to the defense grid, all military communication channels, and direct command authority over your remaining forces." Thane's antennae shot upward in shock. "Prince Consort, with all respect, you have no military training, no experience with 53 confirmed combat deployments across 8-star systems, Special Operations Designation Sierra 4, retired from Earth's Tactical Response Division with the rank of Colonel." Marcus's voice was flat, clinical. "Before my assignment as ambassador, I spent 15 years eliminating threats the Earth government didn't want to acknowledge publicly. The Kravathi have a weakness in their shield harmonics, a vulnerability in their neural command structure, and a fatal arrogance about species they consider primitive." The council chamber froze. Zaretha felt her breath catch. In 3 years of marriage, Marcus had never mentioned military service. She'd known he was former Earth government, transferred to diplomatic corps, but this... "You're a soldier?" she breathed. Marcus looked at her, and for the first time she saw past the careful ambassador's mask he'd worn since they met. Beneath it was something harder, something forged in combat and tempered by violence. "I was for a long time. I chose peace when I came here, but if peace isn't an option anymore," He turned back to Thane. 45 minutes now. Are you going to give me access, or are we all going to die arguing about protocol? Thane looked to Ziritha. She should have felt betrayed, deceived. Instead, she felt something else entirely. Hope. Give him everything he asks for, she commanded, and clear this chamber. If my husband says he can save my people, then we follow his orders. The council erupted in protest, but Ziritha silenced them with a raised hand. Marcus was already moving to the defense grid terminal, his fingers flying across the holographic interface with the precision of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. Seal the room, he said without looking up. And someone get me a direct line to the Kravati fleet commander. We're going to have a conversation about what happens when they threaten my wife's kingdom. Ziritha watched her husband transform before her eyes, every diplomatic pretense falling away like a discarded cloak. She'd married an ambassador. But standing before her now was something far more dangerous, and the Kravathi were about to discover exactly what a human soldier could do when everything he loved was threatened. The countdown to invasion had begun. 43 minutes remained. In the crimson-lit darkness of the command center, Marcus Chen smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. It was the smile of a predator who'd just scented prey. He cracked his knuckles and began typing commands that would either save a civilization or doom it forever. Ziritha positioned herself beside him, watching codes and tactical displays cascade across the screens. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The communications array crackled to life, and a harsh, guttural voice filled the chamber. The Kravathi fleet commander's image materialized above the holographic projector, its 6 eyes gleaming with anticipation of conquest. Marcus didn't flinch. He simply activated the transmission protocol and spoke 2 words in perfect Kravathi military dialect. Threat assessment. The alien's expression shifted from arrogance to confusion. Those 2 words, in that specific context, were reserved for one thing in Kravati military culture: a challenge between warriors. By invoking them, Marcus had just declared that he considered himself a credible threat to an entire invasion fleet. The commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. A human challenges the Kravathi armada? You amuse me before your death. Marcus's smile widened. You have 41 minutes to withdraw from Valteran space. If you're still here in 42 minutes, none of your ships will leave this system intact. That's not a threat. It's a professional courtesy between soldiers. The transmission cut. The council members who remained stared at Marcus in stunned silence. Thane's voice trembled when he finally spoke. Prince Consort, those ships have enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. How can you possibly... Because I know something the Kreviti don't, Marcus interrupted, his fingers still moving across the terminal. They think Earth is weak because we haven't shown them otherwise, but weakness and patience are different things. We've been watching them for 3 years, studying every battle, cataloging every vulnerability. He pulled up a series of files, each marked with Earth military encryption. When I accepted the ambassador position, it wasn't just diplomacy, it was reconnaissance. Earth has been waiting for the right moment to demonstrate why attacking human allies is a fatal mistake. Ziritha moved closer, her mind reeling. You were a spy? I was many things. Marcus finally looked at her and his expression softened slightly. But everything I felt for you was real. Everything we built together was real. I just never expected to have to become what I used to be again. The defense grid terminal chimed. Marcus's eyes flicked back to the screen, and his jaw tightened. They're accelerating. 38 minutes? They're calling my bluff. Is it a bluff? Ziritha asked quietly. Marcus pulled up a communication array she'd never seen before, hidden beneath layers of encrypted code in the planetary defense system. When he activated it, a new set of coordinates appeared in Voltaran space, positioned beyond the orbit of the outermost moon. 12 points of light, each one masking a signature that made Ziritha's blood run cold. No, Marcus said, it's not a bluff. The lights began to move, converging on the approaching Kravathi fleet with frightening speed. Each signature registered energy outputs that exceeded anything in the Valtarn arsenal. They'd been there the entire time, hidden, waiting. Earth Defense Force Rapid Response Division, Marcus spoke into the communication channel. This is Colonel Chen. Authorization code Sierra 4 Tango 97. Rules of engagement are weapons free. Protect Valteran space by any means necessary. A human voice crackled back through the speaker, calm and professional. Copy that, Colonel. We have visual on 12 hostile vessels, engaging now. Good to hear your voice again, sir. The holographic display exploded with activity. Ziritha watched, unable to comprehend what she was seeing. as Earth warships declocked simultaneously, their stealth technology far beyond anything the galactic community knew humanity possessed. They weren't the modest patrol craft Earth had shown the galaxy. These were warships built with terrible purpose, their designs sleek and predatory. The Krivathi fleet commander's face reappeared on the transmission, his expression no longer arrogant, it was something closer to shock. "Earth has no military presence in this sector." "Wrong," Marcus replied, his voice ice-cold. "Earth has been in this sector for 3 years. We've been watching everything you do. Every raid, every conquest, every civilization you've butchered. We were waiting for you to make one critical mistake." He leaned forward, his eyes locked on the Krivathi commander's image. "You touched someone we care about. Now you pay the price for that education." The first salvo from the Earth warships struck the Krivathi shields with precision that suggested intimate knowledge of their defensive systems. The shields flickered, destabilized by frequencies specifically calibrated to exploit the vulnerability Marcus had mentioned. The Krivathi returned fire, but the Earth ships moved with impossible agility, their artificial intelligence-assisted navigation making them nearly untargetable. Ziritha watched her husband orchestrate the battle with clinical efficiency, calling coordinates, adjusting shield harmonics, coordinating with the Earth fleet commander as if the 3 years of diplomatic service had never happened. This was Marcus in his element, and it was both terrifying and magnificent. "The Krivathi are trying to flee," Thane reported, his voice filled with disbelief. "Their formation is breaking." "Don't let them," Marcus ordered into the communication channel. "If even one ship escapes, they'll report back. Earth's tactical advantage ends today unless we make this message absolute." The Earth fleet moved to intercept. The Krivathi dreadnoughts, so terrifying minutes ago, were now prey being systematically dismantled by a force they'd underestimated. The battle wasn't even close. Within 12 minutes, 9 Krivathi vessels were disabled, their crews evacuating in escape pods. The remaining 3 had surrendered. Marcus activated the communication channel to the Krivathi commander one final time. "Tell your masters what happened here. Tell them Earth protects its allies with absolute commitment. Tell them that if they ever threaten Valthara again, we won't disable your ships. We'll erase your homeworld from existence. Do you understand?" The Krivathi commander, his pride shattered, could only nod. The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center. Ziritha stared at the tactical display, at the Earth warships holding position around the disabled Kravi fleet, at the coordinates showing more Earth vessels arriving from deeper space. Her entire understanding of humanity, of her husband, of galactic power dynamics had been upended in less than half an hour. Marcus closed down the terminals and turned to face her. The soldier's mask slipped away, replaced by uncertainty. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I never wanted you to see this side of me." Ziritha crossed the distance between them, her mind still processing everything she'd witnessed. When she reached him, she placed both hands on his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. "You saved my people. You saved my world. There's nothing to apologize for. I lied to you for 3 years. No." Ziritha's voice was firm. "You protected me. There's a difference. You were a soldier who chose peace. That's not deception. That's growth. And when peace was impossible, you became what you needed to be to protect what we built together." She pressed her forehead against his, a gesture of ultimate trust in Valteran culture. "But I love Marcus Chen the soldier just as much. Every part of you." His arms wrapped around her, and she felt the tension drain from his body. Around them, the council began to speak in hushed tones, processing the revelation that Earth was far more powerful than anyone had suspected. That humanity had been playing a long game, positioning assets, gathering intelligence, waiting for the right moment to demonstrate their true capabilities. Thani approached hesitantly. "Your Majesty, the Earth Fleet Commander is requesting permission to establish permanent defense stations in Valteran space. They're offering a mutual defense treaty." Marcus pulled back slightly, his expression apologetic. "I should have asked your permission first, but there wasn't time. Earth wants Valthera as a formal ally, not a protectorate, not a client state, an equal partner. That's why they positioned the fleet here. They were waiting for me to signal if you were trustworthy." "You were testing me?" Ziritha asked, though there was no anger in her voice, only curiosity. "I was waiting to see if you'd abandon your people when things became impossible," Marcus admitted. "Most leaders would have evacuated, saved themselves. But you were willing to die with your citizens. That's when I knew you deserved the truth. That's when I activated the fleet." Ziritha considered this, then turned to Thane. "Accept the treaty. If Earth has been watching our backs for 3 years without demanding anything in return, they've already proven themselves better allies than most of the galaxy." She looked back at Marcus. "But I have conditions." Name them. You stay with me. Not as a spy, not as a soldier in disguise, but as yourself. All of yourself. No more secrets. Marcus smiled, and it was genuine this time, reaching his eyes. Done. The command center erupted in activity as the Council began coordinating with the Earth fleet, establishing formal channels, negotiating the defense treaty. Zaretha pulled Marcus aside, away from the chaos, into a private observation alcove that overlooked the city. Below them, Valtharan citizens were emerging from shelters, looking up at the sky where Earth warships hung like guardian angels, keeping watch over a world they'd sworn to protect. "Tell me about Sierra 4, Zaretha said softly. "Tell me who you were before you became my husband." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, watching the city lights flicker back to life. Earth was late to the galactic community. We spent 300 years alone, thinking we were unique, developing technologies in isolation. When we finally achieved faster-than-light travel and encountered other species, we realized we'd made different choices than most civilizations. We'd built weapons designed to fight ourselves, refined over centuries of planetary conflict. When we saw what was happening in the galaxy, the Kravathi, the Raiders, the empires that conquered through fear, Earth made a decision. He turned to face her, his expression somber. We would become the galaxy's silent protectors. We wouldn't announce ourselves, wouldn't demand recognition. We'd just quietly position forces near vulnerable civilizations, gather intelligence, and intervene when necessary. Sierra 4 was one of 12 covert operations units tasked with this mission. We'd embed ourselves in diplomatic missions, learn everything about potential threats, and prepare contingencies. "How many times have you done this?" Zaretha asked. "How many civilizations have you saved?" 8, including Valthera, but this was different. Marcus reached for her hand. The others were assignments, professional obligations. But you, I fell in love with you. Genuinely, completely. It complicated everything. Earth wanted me to maintain distance, to remain objective. I couldn't. I married you because I wanted to spend my life with you, not because it served the mission. Zaretha squeezed his hand, processing this revelation. Does Earth know? They knew the moment I filed the marriage proposal. There was a significant debate about whether to reassign me, but my commanding officer argued that a genuine relationship with Valthara's queen would provide better intelligence than any amount of pretense. He was right, but not in the way he intended. I stopped reporting anything that might compromise you. I became your husband first, Earth's agent second. That could have ended very badly for you. Marcus laughed quietly. Earth's intelligence division was furious, but they couldn't pull me out without risking the entire operation, so they let it stand, hoping I'd remain useful. Today proved I could still serve both roles when necessary. They stood in silence, watching the Earth warships conduct patrol patterns around Valthara. Zaretha's mind was filled with questions about humanity's true capabilities, their long-term intentions, the implications of this hidden power, but those questions could wait. Right now, she needed to understand the man beside her. "No more secrets," she said again, her voice carrying the weight of a royal command. "No more secrets," Marcus agreed. "Though I should warn you, my past is going to complicate things. Once the galaxy learns Earth has this kind of military force, everything changes. We've been content to remain in the shadows, but this action exposed us. There will be consequences. Then we face them together." Zaretha turned to leave the alcove, then paused. "Marcus, one more thing. When you first arrived as ambassador, when we met at that diplomatic reception, you seemed so awkward, uncomfortable with formal protocol. Was any of that real?" Marcus grinned.
"Completely real."
I'm actually terrible at diplomatic events. Give me a tactical situation with clear objectives, and I'm fine. But small talk and formal dinners? Those genuinely terrify me. The only reason I survived those receptions was because you were kind enough to rescue me from them. Despite everything, Zaretha laughed. The sound echoed through the alcove, releasing tension she didn't realize she'd been holding. "So the great human soldiers defeated by cocktail parties?" "Absolutely. I'd rather face a Kravathi dreadnought than another 7-course state dinner." They returned to the command center together, where the council had finished preliminary negotiations with Earth. A formal ceremony would be required, treaties signed, but the framework was established. Valthara and Earth were now military allies, with mutual defense obligations and technology-sharing agreements. It was a relationship that would reshape both civilizations. Thane approached with a datapad. Your Majesty, initial casualty reports from the Kravathi engagement. Our forces sustained 0 casualties. The Earth fleet disabled all hostile vessels without a single Veltaran death. It's unprecedented. Ziritha looked at Marcus, who shrugged modestly. We had 3 years to plan. When you have time to prepare, you can minimize collateral damage. The city wants to celebrate, Thane continued. They're calling it the Miracle of Valthara. They want to honor the Prince Consort as their savior. Marcus's expression soured immediately. No, this wasn't me. This was Earth's military following through on a commitment. If anyone deserves honor, it's the fleet commanders who maintained position in hostile space for 3 years without being detected. I just made a phone call, but Thane was insistent. With respect, Prince Consort, you are the symbol of Earth's commitment to Valthara. The people need to celebrate something concrete, something they can understand. A human warrior who protected them when all seemed lost. It's the story they need. Ziritha watched Marcus struggle with the attention, clearly uncomfortable with heroic narratives. She'd seen this before, in smaller ways. His reluctance to accept praise for diplomatic successes, his tendency to deflect credit to others. Now she understood. This wasn't humility. It was the mindset of a soldier who viewed himself as a tool, not a hero. Let them celebrate, she told him gently. Not for your ego, but for theirs. They need to process what happened today. I would be so happy. Give them that. Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, but he finally nodded. Fine, but I'm not giving speeches. I'll stand there, I'll wave, but someone else does the talking. Agreed, Ziritha said, suppressing a smile. The galaxy's newest military power was represented by a man who hated public speaking. It was somehow perfect. Over the next hour, Valthara transformed. News of the Earth fleet spread through every district, every settlement, every orbital habitat. The terror of imminent invasion gave way to jubilation, relief, gratitude. Crowds gathered in the streets below the palace, chanting Marcus's name along with traditional Valtaran victory songs. Earth flags appeared beside Valtaran banners, a symbol of alliance that would have been unthinkable that morning. Marcus watched from the palace balcony, his expression unreadable. Ziritha stood beside him, acknowledging the crowds, but her attention was divided. Part of her was processing the political implications. Earth's emergence as a major military power would reshape galactic politics entirely. Species that had dismissed humanity would now scramble to establish relations. Others would see Earth as a threat, a rising power that needed to be contained before it became dominant. But another part of her was focused entirely on her husband, this man she thought she knew completely, who had revealed depths she was still discovering. 3 years of marriage, and she was learning his true identity only now. Most couples would fracture under such revelation. Yet Ziritha found herself more drawn to Marcus than ever. The gentle diplomat and the fierce soldier weren't contradictions. They were facets of someone who chose peace but remained capable of violence when everything he loved was threatened. Your Majesty, a familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. Royal Guard Captain Varix approached, his scales reflecting the setting sun. The Kravathi prisoners are secured. Earth forces are holding them in orbital containment. What disposition do you wish? Before Ziritha could respond, Marcus spoke up. That's not my decision. This is Valtaran space. The Queen decides their fate. Zitha appreciated the distinction. Despite commanding Earth's military forces, Marcus was deferring to her authority over her own territory. It was a reminder that he understood the balance they'd need to maintain. Powerful ally and respectful partner, never conqueror or controller. Hold them for trial under Valtaran law, Ziritha decided, but coordinate with Earth's legal council. If this sets a precedent for how we jointly handle future threats, we need to establish proper protocols now. Varix saluted and departed. The sun continued its descent, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. The crowds below showed no signs of dispersing, their celebration becoming more elaborate as merchants distributed food and musicians set up impromptu performances. Valthara was marking this day as a turning point, the moment their civilization stepped back from the edge of extinction. Marcus's communicator chimed. He glanced at it, then frowned. Earth Command wants a debriefing. They're asking me to return for reassignment.
Ziritha felt her chest tighten. When?
They're suggesting immediately. Marcus's voice was careful, neutral. Standard procedure after a covert operative's cover is blown. They'll want to extract me, conduct interviews, decide on my next posting. Are you going? Marcus looked at her then, and she saw the conflict in his eyes. Part of him was still that soldier, trained to follow orders, to accept deployment wherever Earth needed him. But another part, the part that had built a life here, married a queen, learned to love a world that wasn't his own, was pulling him in a different direction. I don't want to, he said quietly. But I'm still Earth military. I have obligations. You also have obligations here. Ziritha kept her voice level, though emotion threatened to overwhelm her. We just signed a mutual defense treaty. You're the living symbol of that alliance. If you leave now, what message does that send? That Earth's commitment only lasts as long as convenient? That you saved us and then abandoned us? Marcus winced. That's not fair. No, it's not, but it's politics. Ziritha moved closer, her voice softening. I'm not asking you to choose between Earth and Valthara. I'm asking you to recognize that you can serve both better by staying as Prince Consort, as liaison between our worlds, as the person who understands both civilizations intimately. You said no more secrets. So tell me honestly, what do you want? He was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the celebrating city. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible over the sounds of jubilation below. I want to stay with you. I want to wake up beside you every morning, rule beside you, build something permanent instead of moving from crisis to crisis. I want to stop being a soldier and just be your husband. Then tell Earth that. They won't accept it. Then I'll tell them. Ziritha pulled out her own communicator, accessing the diplomatic channels. This is Queen Ziritha of Valthara to Earth Command. I'm formally requesting that Colonel Marcus Chen remain on assignment as Valthara's military liaison and Prince Consort. His knowledge and experience are critical to implementing our mutual defense treaty. Further, I'm invoking Article 7 of the Preliminary Alliance Agreement. Allied personnel embedded in diplomatic positions serve at the discretion of the host government. I'm exercising that discretion. Marcus Chen stays here. She ended the transmission before Earth could respond. Marcus stared at her, something between shock and relief on his face. You just told Earth's military command what to do with one of their officers? That's going to cause problems.
Good. Let them complain.
Then we negotiate from a position where they need us as much as we need them. Ziritha smiled, though her pulse was racing. She just challenged a major military power on behalf of her marriage. It was possibly the least diplomatic thing she'd ever done. Besides, they exposed their hidden fleet to save us. They're committed now. They'll accept the arrangement because refusing would damage the alliance they just revealed. Marcus pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her in a gesture that felt both protective and vulnerable. Thank you for fighting for this. For us. Always, she whispered. The celebration below intensified as night fell, the city illuminating with bioluminescent decorations that turned the streets into rivers of light. Earth's warships hung in the sky like new stars, visible now that their stealth systems were deactivated. That it was a display of power, a message to the galaxy that Valthara was protected by forces far beyond what anyone had anticipated. Marcus's communicator chimed again. This time he answered it. A woman's face appeared, her uniform marking her as Earth's Secretary of Defense. Her expression was stern but not hostile. Colonel Chen, I've received Queen Ziritha's transmission. While unorthodox, her invocation of Article 7 is technically valid. Command is debating the appropriate response. Respectfully, Madam Secretary, there's only one appropriate response, Marcus said, his voice calm but firm. Accept it. I can serve Earth better here than anywhere else. I know Valthara's systems, their people, their vulnerabilities. I've established relationships with their entire government. Pulling me out now would be strategically foolish. The secretary studied him through the screen. And if we order you back anyway, then you'd be making a mistake. Marcus's jaw set. I've given Earth 15 years. I've bled for it, killed for it, sacrificed everything it asked of me. I'm not refusing orders. I'm telling you that the mission here isn't complete and I'm the only person qualified to see it through. If you can't see the value in that, you don't deserve the alliance you just forged. Silence on the communication line. Ziritha held her breath, wondering if Marcus had just ended his military career, but the secretary's expression shifted, something like approval crossing her features. Noted. Stand by for official orders. The transmission ended. Marcus lowered the communicator, his hand trembling slightly. I just told the Secretary of Defense she was wrong. That might have been the dumbest thing I've ever done. Or the bravest, Ziritha countered. You chose us. You chose this life. That took more courage than facing the Kravathi fleet. They returned inside, where the Council was coordinating response efforts and fielding communications from other galactic governments. News of Earth's intervention had spread quickly. Ambassadors from a dozen species were requesting emergency meetings, their messages ranging from congratulatory to accusatory. The political landscape was shifting in real time. Thane approached with another datapad, his expression overwhelmed. Your Majesty, we're receiving hundreds of requests. The Xylonian Empire wants to discuss defense arrangements. The Tauran Coalition is asking about Earth's military capabilities. The Merchants Guild wants trade negotiations. It's chaos. Then we organize it. Ziritha took the datapad, scrolling through the requests. Schedule formal meetings starting tomorrow. Priorities civilizations that border Kravati territory. They'll be most interested in Earth's demonstrated capabilities. And send a message to Earth's diplomatic corps. Tell them we're prepared to host a galactic summit here on Valthara. If they're going to emerge from the shadows, they need proper introduction to the galactic community. Marcus nodded approvingly. Smart. Control the narrative by controlling the venue. Earth will appreciate the strategic thinking. I learned from the best diplomat I know, Ziritha replied with a slight smile. Even if he was a soldier in disguise. The evening progressed, transforming from crisis management to celebration planning. Valthara's survival needed to be commemorated properly, with ceremonies that honored both Valtaran resilience and Earth's intervention. Ziritha found herself coordinating events while simultaneously managing the political fallout of humanity's revelation. It was exhausting, but exhilarating. Around midnight, Marcus's communicator chimed one final time. He glanced at it, then smiled, the first genuine, relaxed smile she'd seen since the crisis began. Official orders from Earth Command. I'm to remain on Valthara as permanent military liaison, reporting directly to the Secretary of Defense. My rank is officially retired, but I retain advisory status. They're calling it a specialized diplomatic assignment. So you're staying? I'm staying. Marcus pulled her close, and she felt the last remnants of tension drain from his body. No more secrets. No more hidden identities. Just us, building an alliance and trying not to start any diplomatic incidents. Given that I just ordered Earth's military around, I think we've already started one incident today. Fair point. Let's try to keep tomorrow incident-free. They stood together in the command center, watching the tactical displays show Earth's warships establishing permanent patrol routes around Valthara. The city below continued celebrating, the sounds of music and laughter drifting up through the palace windows. It was a moment of peace after chaos, a breath before the next challenge, because challenges would come. The galaxy had just witnessed a hidden power reveal itself, a relatively unknown species demonstrate capabilities that rivaled the major empires. Earth would face scrutiny, suspicion, demands for explanation, and Valthara, as their first public ally, would face those pressures alongside them. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, Ziritha stood beside her husband, warrior, diplomat, partner, and allowed herself to simply feel grateful. Grateful for his sacrifice, his honesty, his choice to stay. Grateful that her people were safe, her civilization preserved, her world given a future it had nearly lost. I love you, she said quietly, the words simple but carrying the weight of everything they'd experienced that day. Marcus turned to face her fully, his hands cupping her face with gentle reverence. I love you too. Every version of me, past and present, loves every version of you. That's the one truth I never hid. They kissed then, surrounded by the chaos of political upheaval and military coordination while the city celebrated and the galaxy reeled. It was imperfect, complicated, built on revealed secrets and near disaster. But it was real. And sometimes, Ziritha reflected, real was enough. The human she'd married had revealed his true strength, not just in military capability, but in his willingness to choose love over duty, partnership over orders, permanence over the transient nature of soldiers' life. That strength would shape both their civilizations going forward. Outside, Earth's warships kept their vigil, silent guardians of a world they'd claimed as worth protecting. Inside, a queen and a soldier-turned-prince planned their future, knowing it would be neither easy nor simple, but believing it would be worthwhile. The crisis had passed. The real work was just beginning.
And they would face it together.